Hello, my fellow property managers. Good to see you. Marc Cunningham at Grace Property Management. I want to talk to you about a topic that for some reason is kind of controversial. Now, I don't know why, it really shouldn't be, but people have a really strong opinions when asked this question, hey, can a property management business run on autopilot? Can it run by itself? Does it need my involvement in everything, or can I set up processes and systems and people to kind of run itself? And people have a varying view on whether or not this is possible, what degree it's possible. So let me just share with you some of my perspectives. And as always, I may be right, I may be wrong. There's different views on this, but this is what we found in order to make this work potentially for us and with the literally thousands of property managers I talk to on an annual basis. So this isn't just me in my business, but this is talking to a lot of property management companies, talking to a lot of vendors, being in this industry for 40 plus years. So just as a framework, my company's here in Denver. We manage over 1,200 units. We're very process dependent, very systems oriented. We want to make sure we're structured that way. And I talk to a lot of PMs. So I posed this question on our Facebook group. And by the way, if you're not a member of our PM Build Facebook group, why not? Go get on there. I posed this question because I wanted to see the responses of some of the members of our group. And here's what just a couple people said. Lisa said, I don't believe it's 100% autopilot possible. I mean, we have procedures and systems in place meant to take us in that direction, but there's one variable we can't control: people. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to find the way because I'm tired. I get it, Lisa. I'm with you, pretty tired myself. Melissa said, I believe a good mix is the best way to do it. We are a service industry, and that factor will always be important. Also, our industry is always changing and adjustments will need to be made. For those reasons, I don't feel it's possible to go autopilot all the way. You may be right, Melissa. Nathan says, it would be very difficult to run without owner involvement, but I certainly believe an owner can be mostly hands-off. My goal within the next couple years is to work 20 hours or less. I'm assuming Nathan means 20 hours per week, maybe yearly. Good for you, Nathan. And have the ability to do it remotely. I'm currently at a point I can cut back to 30 hours and do at least 80% of my work remotely. Biggest thing keeping me tied down is real estate sales because my agents need more experience and hand-holding for sales. Makes sense. Let's see, someone says, no, not any more than any other type of company can. There are just too many nuanced decisions to be made. Pat says, very interesting. Now listen to this here. I'm striving to get my small 100-unit company running itself so I can travel. We're going to come back to that, Pat, so stick with me on that. Dawn says, I think you can definitely create systems and checklists and balances that minimize owner involvement, but there has to be a stakeholder involvement. We're going to talk about that also, Dawn. Stakeholder involvement at some level to keep the standards up. Trust, but verify. Jay says, as long as we're dealing with people, it's impossible to have a PM business run itself. Over the years, we've tried all sorts of automation. We found that even the best intended softwares have their limitations. And one more from Josh, who says, it is possible. I just need 5 minutes and I can explain to you how it's done. Okay, so a fairly wide degree is what we found of you, my fellow property manager, saying, yes, this can be done, or no, it can't be done. So let me offer you a couple thoughts around this concept. Number one, here's what I believe. If you're going to run, or your goal is to run the business by itself, is you need someone in the company with what we call healthy paranoia. Someone needs to be worried about the business. You need to have a stakeholder. Someone used the word stakeholder in there. You need to have somebody who worries about the business. Systems don't worry about your business. Processes don't worry about your business. Even employees don't worry about your business. Who wakes up at 3 a.m. to worry and think about the business? Now I know we think, well, I don't want to do that. I know you don't want to do that. But did you know that statistics nationally show that business owners, any business owners, their life expectancy is less than non-business owners? That's not because they're doing anything wrong. That's the stress that comes with owning a business. Business is hard. Ownership of a business is very, very hard. But someone needs to be thinking about this stuff at a higher level. So if you truly think that you're going to just automate everything, everything's just going to flow, my follow-up question is, okay, well, that's fine, but who's thinking ahead? Who's thinking beyond the processes of the day to where the business is going? And you may say, well, that's what I want to do, Mark. I want to get out of the daily grind so I can think about those big future things. Okay, but that's going to require you to be in the business a little bit. It can't run completely by itself because you need to know what's happening there in the weeds in order to effectively plan for the next big steps. So I think someone needs to make sure they're a stakeholder, high level, waking up in the middle of the night, worrying about the business while all the other employees are sleeping safe and soundly in their beds, dreaming of lollipops and unicorns. Number 2, every business needs a communication path back to the boss, back to the owner. You can't go travel and be on vacation 100%, I don't believe, in this industry and have a long-term, and that's the key word, long-term successful business. I could tell you story after story of property management company owners that have told me, Mark, I've got it all figured out. My business does run by itself. I've got processes in place. I've got checklists. I've got systems. I've got accountability. And I've got a great number 2 who runs all this stuff. So yes, I can go lay in my hammock on the desert island and it's going to run itself. And I would say, let me guesstimate, oh, that's right, 100% of those cases eventually will come back and they'll be like, ooh, it blew up and I didn't see it coming. I wasn't paying attention. Now, if you've been watching our stuff, we talk about ways to track that data. You need to have a CEO dashboard. By the way, if you're one of our coaching folks, our coaching clients, or a member of our coaching group, you've gotten that CEO dashboard. We always describe that as that's the doc you look at while you're laying in the hammock to track the metrics in place. We'll talk about that CEO dashboard more on a future video. But there needs to be a communication path back to the boss, not just for super high level, but also for what I believe are bounce up issues. So the way most PM companies start is you're the guy, you're the gal, you're doing it all. And when that complaint comes in, when that issue comes in, you solve it. And then you hire a first person, a second person, a third person, whether they're an admin, a property manager, whatever they are. In the business world, there still needs to be a path back to the next level so that when the tenant, owner, applicant gets frustrated at the person they're talking to and they say, let me talk to your boss. I want to talk to who's in charge. That person, if it's not the boss, needs to be able to say this. Okay, no problem. Let me have my supervisor, VP, company owner, whatever. Let me have them reach out. You need to be able to escalate issues. And that's so key to making your business run on autopilot. So you need to have layers of authority so that when that frontline person is like, gosh, I'm sorry, we declined your application. Well, that's discriminatory. I demand to talk to your boss. Okay, let me transfer you to whoever. Now, if it's a smaller organization, they're transferring them to who? Yeah, to me, to you, to the boss. And you say, well, that doesn't get me out of the weeds, Mark. I want out of the weeds. I want this thing to run on autopilot. Well, therefore, we're going to need to institute another layer of management, which kind of comes back to this. My friends, being a company business owner is hard. It is stressful. It is difficult. This is why a lot of people don't want to do it, because they want to get a good night's sleep. They don't want to be wringing their hands and worried about the latest piece of legislation or the latest lawsuit or the latest fair housing issue or the latest one-star Google review. Someone's got to worry about those things. Being a boss is really, really hard. So it's very, I don't want to say impossible, but it's close to impossible, and it is impossible when you're small, to completely detach and remove yourself. So before I tell you the size I think you need to be in order to make that happen, I want to thank the sponsor for this month's video, Upkeep Media. Regardless of how well your business runs on autopilot, one thing you need is owner leads coming into your business on an ongoing basis. Always, always, always. You can never stop the flow of new prospective owner-client leads. That's what Upkeep Media does for you. I know the folks at Upkeep, they're sharp. They know how to generate automated social media within your business, on your website, through different avenues to bring in owner-client leads. Reach out to them, get a demo. They can look at your website. They can tell you how it's doing and what you should be doing to generate and to create more internal leads. If you haven't heard my podcast interview with the folks at Upkeep Media, jump on our podcast. We'll link to it. Listen to that. It was a very interesting conversation, good tips and tricks to be generating more owner leads for you. Thank you, Upkeep Media. Here's how big I believe you need to get to, 600 doors. You say, well, Mark, I mean, you read the quote, or I read you the quote from the person with 100 doors. I want to get to the point that I can step out of the business and run it by itself. The bad news is that you need about 600 doors because you need mid-level management. You need the person on the front end to be able to say to the person complaining, okay, let me transfer you to my boss. And if the boss is Marc, then Marc can't get out of the weeds of the organization, because now I'm spending all my time just taking problem calls that my frontline people got stuck with. You say, well, I'm just going to empower them to get those problems solved. No, you're not. You can do that to a point, but they still have to have somebody bounce problems up to, whether it's a VP, a director of operations. They need to be able to go up a level. And then that person, when they get stuck, they need to go up a level. So you need at least 3 levels of organizational structure before you, as the business owner, will start to feel that you're able to run the thing on autopilot. You need to have 3 levels. Until you get to 3 levels, which I think you need at least $600 to do, just financially, until you get there, you're not going to be able to feel like you're stepping out that way. So we're $1,200. I wouldn't say I'm out too far. I know what's going on. I read every bad review that comes in. I know the problems that we're having, but I'm not the first person they bounce problems up to. And here's the summation of everything I just said. When you hear someone say to you something like, hey, my business runs on autopilot, or it runs by itself, what that probably means, it just means that they're not the pilot. It's not running itself, guys. These businesses don't run itself. It just means that they're not the one in the pilot seat running it. But you need to have somebody in the seat being the pilot for the business. That's my opinion on this. Now, every time companies come at it from a different angle, no, we've cracked the code, Marc. We've figured out how we can have a team of VAs and nobody else running the whole business. I mean, I hope you can. I wish you well. We'll see how long that works, and if it works permanently, I don't know. But that's my opinion on all these things. Now, by the way, if you want to see exactly how we run our business, how we've gotten to the point we're at, we've got a couple spots still open for our August opportunity. We call it our Visit Grace event. Come to my office, spend 2 days with me and my team. We open up our playbook, and we basically do a crash course on running a property management business. Crash course on finance, on marketing, on operations, on hiring, on leadership, everything that you need to be doing to run the business end of the business. Give you all of our documents, our packages. If that's something you're interested, come on out here to Denver, jump on our website, pmbuild.com, go under our events, Visit Grace. Would love to meet you in Denver and introduce you to my team to see how we run our business as close to possible on autopilot. And my friends, until next time, as always, I wish you success.